when you talk of education, you're talking about how people live, how they survive, how they make money, how they take care of their children, and how the community as a whole work together. This has not been easy, even among the Europeans, the French and the English especially. This Magna Carta, which brought a lot of rights into the European world, into the English world, and later on now into America, is some basic things. But these things here were known to our people in Africa. But you see, Africans, we came from the Middle East, the way I have seen it. And we've been chased from the Middle East to Egypt, what they call Nile Valley civilization. It was in the Middle East that we wrote the Bible. A lot of things are written there which reflects what happened in the Middle East in the Bible. The Bible actually is the historical account of the African people. And our people were so smart, they put it in such a way that it can last generation and generation. These are very basic. For example, when a child is born, how he or she is named, what kind of things is fed to the baby and the mother, how to take care of them. All these are basic things which the Africans know. Now, as you grow, you begin to tell you what to do. Go out, bring this. When you go in, come on time. When you do this, when you speak, open your mouth. When you walk, walk well, walk straight. These are all fundamentals of education. You are educating the child to be a human being. This is very, very, very serious. And to some extent, you are digressing. You are getting away from this basic thing, what they call the ethics of living. But let me say this. The Western education came in into us with the intention that we know nothing. We have no knowledge of what's going on. Can you imagine human beings living without knowing anything? But later on, as I read, I find out that when you go to any town, in any African city and habitation, just quite recently, we started using cement blocks, but mostly they were mud, because we're traveling, we're coming from far. These Europeans are chasing us. They chase us and they kill us. When they come close to you, they kill us. So what happens is that in traveling, you can't take everything. And the first thing you do is you forget the past. You forget, because the brain goes through so much shock that it cannot retain the past that well. And consequently, a lot of things that we know have been suppressed by the current learning. Now, let me jump back into this European education, and I'll be going back and forth. For example, when I was growing up, our people in my village, Afrancho in Ashanti, they get together in the middle of the town and they drum and they sing and they tell stories, what they call Koku Anansi stories, in thousands of them. And these stories sometimes are so shocking, sometimes they are so loving, sometimes they are so interesting, that as a young boy you'll be listening, or a young girl you'll be listening, and then you fall asleep. Then the next thing you know, you're on your bed sleeping, because you've been carried by your parents. In these stories you learn all kinds of things. And now I didn't know that these storytelling were very basic. When you bring it into Western education, they did the same thing. Socrates, Aristotle, and all those people were using this type of, even Jesus Christ and Muhammad, they were walking around and people followed them and they listened to the story and the things they say, and it became part of the people education. You know, the people's activities, including educating the people in reproduction, agriculture, these activities that every human being on earth must do. You must do agriculture to survive, reproduction to increase your population, and so on. These are natural processes. Nobody teach us what to do. But in going through details of this education, what I call now the subject matter education is a very, very serious matter, whereby you delve into a subject. Let's say chemistry. You delve into chemistry, people sit in labs and research on minute things which on a normal circumstances will not be part of the human activities. But these are concentrated efforts to extract knowledge from nature. These are very important, and we are not there yet in Africa because our governments are so weak that they cannot do research and development. We don't have money to do research and development. And it's only through research and development that most education can be brought and can be lifted up. So in most of these subjects that we learn, the subject matter education, if you are concentrating on medicine, for example, you want to be a doctor. If you are not broad-minded to read other subjects, that will take the whole of your life. In fact, you think medicine is the only thing in life. If you become a lawyer, you will think that law is the only thing in life. If you become an accountant, you may think that law is the most important thing. But it's a subject matter which takes your mind into research and development. Somebody has researched this and you are learning it. It's not supposed to be difficult. But you see, if you are in Africa, most of the things that are being exposed to you, you don't know. You don't see. I was watching a video from Ghana on Kolebu Hospital, and I was shocked. Why? Because the government doesn't have it. The only way the government can have it is when we combine our resources in Africa. But most of them are not aware. What I like to say to sons and daughters of Africa is that we are sons and daughters, not just sons and daughters. But if you are in Kenya and you go to Ghana, they ought to accept you as one of us. If you are from Ghana, you go to Kenya, same thing. We should live together as a people. This coming together legally and in international law, it's not simple. It can only be done by law and agreement. No, it can only be done by constitutional provisions written by these countries. Most of our countries are following the European approach to unity. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Europeans can never unite. But they can only do it if they can renounce, not really renounce, but if they can give a bit of their national powers, in governing to a central government. This is what we need now. And we have been able to form OAU, now AU. Now this must be turned into a government.